welcome you to the Mile High City. It's been a blistering cold weekend. Broncos getting set to host the Patriots, who look to clinch the AFC East with a victory here. That would give them the division for an 8th consecutive year, and they're the Broncos in the hunt at 8-5. Hello, friends. Jim Nance, Phil Simms, Tracy Wolfson, Jay Feely. Yes, the Patriots have clinching scenarios, and the Broncos have all kinds of what-ifs and what must be done here starting today.
Yeah, just look at today's game real quick. I think it's going to be very emotional for both teams. Gary Kubiak told his team and told us it's playoff time. We got 3 playoff games. We got to win them all.
This game's being broadcast in Spanish. We're available using the SAP button on your television. So Denver has deferred and will send the football down to the Patriots and give Tom Brady the first handle of this game. It's 18. We had sub-zero temperatures yesterday, but it's sunny, and this crowd is revved up as once again New England comes out to play at Denver. They were here twice last year, including the AFC title game. This is Dion Lewis on the return to about the 24. This has not been Tom Brady's favorite place to play. He's 2-7 here all time, but what a season he's putting together again at the age of 39. There you see his record overall against the Broncos. It's the only team he has a losing record against in his magnificent career. His line includes Nate Solder, who's a Colorado native and a CU graduate, former first-round pick for the Patriots. LeGarrette Blount with a monster season. He's over 1,000 already and 14 rush touchdowns. They're going to give it right away to Lewis, who actually starts the game in the backfield. You never know. And he picks up 2. It was Lewis, not Blount, who gets the first snap. The Denver defense under Wade Phillips. Wolf on that defensive front. They've had a hard time stopping the run all season. Vaughn Miller shares the lead in sacks coming into the week. And Aqib Talib, who played for the Patriots back in 2012 and 2013. Miller, who gave Brady and the Patriots fits last year in the AFC title game won by the Broncos 20-18. 6 DBs come in for this 2nd and 8. And again, they'll run it. And it's Lewis getting the first 2 carries of this game. That one picks up 5.
Jim, a lot of changes for these football teams from last year's AFC Championship game, especially for this New England offense. And I think we've already seen the difference here. They came in on a 2nd down, obvious passing situation. They ran the football. And what do you want to do if you're New England? The first order of business, don't let Von Miller wreck the game like he did the AFC Championship game.
Bring in White for this 3rd down play in the backfield. 3rd and 3. And Brady has the pass knocked down at the line of scrimmage by Wolf. A 3 and out for the Patriots. I'd like to welcome many of you just joining us here in Denver. Jim Nance, Phil Simms, Tracy Wolfson, Jay Feely on the scene here. The Patriots took the opening kickoff and have just run 3 plays, a couple of running plays, and then a pass batted down on 3rd down. So now's the punt. It's Ryan Allen with Norwood signaling fair catch. He has to come way up to make it, and he was off balance the whole time, and he muffs it, and it looks like the Patriots are all over it. Norwood was almost in a sprint off that fair catch signal. And the Patriots with a takeaway. The recovery, Jonathan Jones. Here's Norwood.
Never got his arms together. And if you saw the football when it was in the air, the tail of the football, in other words, was going back. It was falling away from Norwood. So he had to hustle, like you said, Jim, a little extra hard to get up there. Didn't get in good position. Didn't get his elbows together, and the football went right through him.
And in their last home game, the Broncos against Kansas City, that incredible thrilling finish, Norwood had 2 fumbles on punt returns, lost 1 of the 2, and alas, he was inactive last week at Tennessee. They put him up today, and he muffs it right here at the start. Patriots from the 31. And that was thrown in the direction of White. Brady and the Patriots, the most high-powered first quarter team in the league.
Well, look, he feels a lot more confident in this game. Just looking at the offensive line, David Andrews, Joe Tooney, Nate Solder, center to the left tackle, did not play in this game last year.
Got another audience just joining us. I'd like to welcome you. 2nd and 10. Everyone's with us now as the Patriots try to take advantage of a fumble punt by the Broncos. And that's off the fingertips of White. This game started with the ball being kicked, Denver deferring to the Patriots. 3 and out, but Ryan Allen's punt was fumbled by, right there, number 11, Jordan Norwood. And now a 3rd down coming up for New England. This was the fumble. And again, Norwood had issues just 2 weeks ago. Lost one. In fact, coughed it up twice. His team recovered the other one. But it was Jones on the recovery, and now the Denver defense seeing the 6th snap by the Patriots. They have really shut them down thus far.
So far, so good. This is still a good defense, especially good against the pass.
On 3rd and 10, that is Lewis. Stopped after a gain of about 4. So that'll bring out Gostkowski for a field goal attempt.
Yeah, you talk about this defense, Jim. It's not the same defense we saw last year because people are rushing the football, but the pass defense and the pass rush still 2 of the best.
You just never know with New England. They did not start the game with Blunt in the backfield. He has not been in so far. We've had Lewis with 3 carries and a couple of passes in the direction of James White. And now Gostkowski will try it from 45 yards away. And the kick is good. And New England with 3 points off the takeaway to strike first. Just 2.5 minutes into this game. The Patriots lead the league in takeaway points. They got 3 here early off the muff punt by Jordan Norwood, and now Gostkowski will send it down to Cody Latimer. No chance of a return. And Trevor Siemian will trot onto the field with the Broncos offense, looking for some answers. You just saw Justin Forsett run by, number 20. He's going to start. Here is Siemian. He has posted big numbers. His last 2 starts, in fact, he's been over 300, but wasn't enough to win at Tennessee last week, as they managed only 18 yards on the ground. Matt Paradis, though, Bill will explain, he's had a solid season. There's Forsett. He's been with this team for about a week and a half, playing for his 3rd different team this season. He opened the season as the Ravens starter, was waived, went to the Lions, waived, and now here he is with the handle. Wiggle to the outside and a good run. Justin Forsett with a gain of 13.
Virgil Green on the outside, blocks his man. Here it is, number 85 gets the block, and a good read by Forsett, taking it outside once he sees the inside's clogged up. Hard to run up the middle. Patriots very big and good run stoppers inside. 3
receivers, including Norwood. First down throw, and it is not caught by Green. Should have. Patriots defense, Matt Patricia. They have not allowed but 1 first-half touchdown over the last 3 weeks. You saw Flowers, he leads them in sacks. Hightower, he'll blitz a lot. And Malcolm Butler on one of the corners with those 2 standout wideouts on the Broncos side, Sanders and Thomas. Forsett is brought down by Butler. Picks up about 5.
Well, you talked about Trevor Siemian, the big numbers he's putting up. Well, he has no choice. They can't run the football, or they haven't run it well, so they have to rely on the pass. And Trevor Siemian has just really come on the last few weeks, shown some toughness, throwing the football very well.
3rd and 4, and Siemian's pass. Now that's running too short a route. That's the former Patriot, Derby. Actually had to come back and get it. And Derby will be stopped a couple of yards short. That's the first completion we've had in this game on either side. And it's not enough for the first down.
Well, Trey Flowers actually, I think, tipped the football that was thrown the first pass to Virgil Green. And the Patriots, they took away the inside pass, had nothing to do but throw it out there. And one thing we got here today, we got 2 good tackling secondaries. So you throw it outside, hard to get those extra yards.
Riley Dixon to punt to Julian Edelman. And by the way, Cyrus Jones inactive. All the fumbling issues he's had. including Monday night. And that is touched by Webster. Patriots will begin their next drive from inside the 20. Dixon, 39-yard punt.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. K Jewelers. For 100 years, every kiss begins with K. And by Honda. Hurry in for great deals during Happy Honda Days.
Yeah, some wild Broncos up in the mountains. They've got plenty of snow now after this weekend. A big dumping coming in on Friday night. And NFL fans, you can order your holiday gifts from NFLshop.com today. NFLshop.com. Here's Blunt. And that is Todd Davis on him right away. It was a big question mark whether he'd be able to play today. But there is a flag out. He had a rib cage injury. Walt Anderson is officiating this game. He's the referee. And this is his first Patriot game since the Deflategate game a year and a half ago.
Illegal formation. Offense, number 19 was covering up eligible receiver number 71. That penalty is declined. It's second down.
So Todd Davis with a tackle and a loss of 2. And they're glad to have him up because Brandon Marshall is out with the hamstring injury, Phil.
Well, they got good depth at the linebacker position. Zaire Anderson, number 50, he came in last week, played well. Corey Nelson's played well. He's in there. And that time, Todd Davis, the guard pulled, he chased him, got in the backfield, made the play.
Back to Blunt. And he ducks down low and is dropped after a gain of about 5. Let's go down to the sideline. Tracy.
Well, Jim, Tom Brady told us he watched last year's championship game several times, including on the plane over here. What he learned was this is a different team. And that's what offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels was telling his team this week. He said, stand up if you did not play in this game last year. That was about 2/3 of the room. He said, this is not a rematch. We're a different team. This is a different game. Jim?
Well, that's so true. You look right across the starting lineups here. That offensive line was so banged up last year, plus the likes of Gronkowski was in the game. Here's a 3rd and 8. And again, he was heading that pass in the direction of White. This Denver defense, once again, rising up to this moment.
Well, a couple things. Patriots, you could say Tracy Wolfson is right. It is a different team, a different offense. Josh McDaniels are more physical. And just the start of the game, you see they're going to play it differently, trying to run the football. Because you have to respect this pass rush. And, of course, all the good defensive backs they have who can really cover. Tom Brady getting rid of the football maybe just a little too quick. Respecting that pass rush early in the game, even a veteran can have a little nerves.
Norwood stays in as the returner. Again, he signals fair catch. And a clean catch this time.
And a cheer.
Yes, there is. Tom Brady, for the first time since 2004, begins the game 0 for 4 throwing. The Art Rooney Sportsmanship Award, well, one of the finalists is DeMarcus Ware, selected as one of the 8 finalists. Going to find out February 4th, the night before Super Bowl 51, the winner during the NFL Honors Award show. But this award goes to a player who exemplifies outstanding sportsmanship on the field. Each team nominating one player, and earlier this week, DeMarcus named one of the 8 finalists. Congratulations. Play action. Simeon was looking down the field. Instead to go underneath. And that's for set for about 8 or 9.
Really good fake. Had me looking at the run play the whole way and realized that Simeon still had the football. That's something that's missing. When you talk about this team, the offensive line, not running the football the way you want, the play-action game is just basically dried up because no team fears the run. Interesting here, no huddle, going at a quicker pace.
2nd and 1. We're set. Little slight detour cut back to the right. It was enough to pick up the first down. Yeah, just 18 yards on 9 rush attempts at Tennessee. For the Broncos in their 57-year history, it's the 3rd worst performance.
Well, it goes back to the biggest problem this team has had all year from the start. They thought they had this offensive line rebuilt and ready to go. It has not come through for them.
First down throw. Simeon to Green for another 10. Long on the coverage.
But I'll tell you who has come through for him, and that is the quarterback, Trevor Simeon. Well, looks like Virgil Green a little shook up there.
And Virgil Green needs a little assistance from the training staff.
That's big. He can catch it, but he's the best blocking tight end they got by far.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Cialis.
Virgil Green took a blow to the head. He's already been taken to the locker room. No doubt going to go through the concussion protocol. 2nd and 1. And that's Thomas. Brought down by Jones. Good pass there by Simeon for 23.
Excellent pass. Here's what I've noticed about Trevor Simeon in these last couple weeks. When he has to, he can put a little step on the gas and drive the football. That was tight coverage. Do it between 3 defenders and got it in there.
First down from the 20. He's going to go over to the first set. Challenged by a couple of DBs there, including McCourty for 5.
You know, they've coached Trevor Simeon really hard here. Gary Kubiak's been tough on him in the building and practice, even in the press. You know, he kind of calls him out. And what they're doing, they're trying to make a young quarterback grow up fast, and they've done it because his play has improved greatly here of late.
2nd and 5, full set. Sidesteps what could have been a big loss. And it looks like he got it back to the line of scrimmage. Now Gary Kubiak, he's got that tough love approach, no question.
Yeah, no doubt.
With Simeon, and he's gone through now since taking over as the Broncos coach last year. He's won games with 4 different starters. Peyton, Osweiler, of course Trevor, as well as Paxton Lynch got a win in a game as a starter at Jacksonville.
Well, he's got to be happy and proud of his team just to start. He says, don't panic if things don't go our way early. And that was his message all week to the players. They said it to us, and they didn't panic after the turnover.
3rd and 5. Simeon's pass over the head of Devontae Booker, who hadn't been the starter in recent weeks, but seems to have hit the rookie wall here late in the year.
Well, I talked about so much about Denver's defensive backs, how they can cover this. This is no shabby group when you talk about the Patriots. They got guys that can run, play one-on-one, and a new group of linebackers, Bill Belichick, who can also run. When you talk about Kyle Van Noy, Shea McClellan.
Landon Roberts.
Landon Roberts, definitely.
33 yards for McManus. And his kick squeaks through. It's good. 27 out of 31 on the year. But he was trying to imitate Cairo Santos for a moment. Broncos drive 47 yards to set up the field goal to tie it. At 3-3, first quarter, now about to deliver the football to the Patriots and their 4th possession of the game. So far, New England 13 total yards in his first 3 series and without a first down. By the way, Tuesday, 10 legends were inducted into the Sports Broadcasting Hall of Fame in New York, and 2 are very special to us, including our chairman, Sean McManus. Congratulations. And Vern Lundquist just called his last college football game last Saturday, the Army-Navy game.
Yep, congratulations
proud
to
of
both.
them both.
And I'd say our boss, you know what he does? He wears nice suits. You think?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, always in a nice suit. So that's great honor for both of them, and congratulations.
That's Dion Lewis. Look at Lewis for a pickup of 15.
Well, they love this, the fact that Devlin, watch number 46 come across. He gets the block, and Dion Lewis just so quick. And even though he's a small running back, I think he's a very good runner between the tackles. And the guy that we saw early last year just tearing it up for this offense, he's back to full strength. and ready to do it in games. Saw him the last couple. Looks pretty sharp here to start.
It's Lewis again. Showing a good burst and weaving out there for about a gain of 8. And Tracy, back down to you.
Well, Jim, speaking of awards, you received a great honor Monday in Las Vegas, awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award presented by the Golf Coaches Association of America, an organization I know you hold near and dear to your heart. Congratulations, Jim.
Thank you. Now, you guys weren't supposed to do that. I cannot stand being blindsided, but thank you on behalf of my late coach, Dave Williams. I humbly accept that award. Here's a flag out. Of course, all the people who ever see me play golf now, what's this? A lifetime achievement where you did what? You can't break 80, much less 90.
Well, you know, Jim, when you work it every weekend, it's hard to play golf.
Yeah.
Holding, number 92, defense. 5-yard penalty from the end of the run. Automatic first down.
Okay, so now the Patriots moving the football.
Yep, Tracy said it. Josh McDaniels, this is a different football team, and we're really seeing it so far here. They're being patient with the run game. No success really early, and some good runs here in this drive. So now they're going to change up. Unbalanced line.
2nd and 2. Great. That is knocked away. Incomplete. Ward on the coverage of Bennett. Hey, Brady, I mentioned he's had his troubles up here. Not just him, the Patriots as well, but 2-7 inside this stadium. This is where he lost his first career, well, he had his first career playoff loss. You remember that game?
Yeah, I did.
Here to call that. And the first overtime game that he ever lost was here. And he's lost the AFC Championship game. Here 2 of the last 3 seasons with a Super Bowl win in between. That's going to be good for a gain of about 1.
Now you show that record of Tom Brady here. Look, everybody struggles here for so many years. We've seen this Denver team has been good. And the defense, Wade Phillips now, just tough to really dig in and do. If you don't run the football well, it's very hard to throw it with success because of the pass rush and the good coverage down the field.
Just the 2nd time in his career. He's 0 for 5 at the start. He's got 3rd and 10. Brady from the 44. Fires it, and it's off the hands of White. They keep trying to get that one to work, and it hasn't connected so far.
Couple drops, and they keep changing up on the defensive side. Wade Phillips, I thought last year in the championship game, really mixed up the coverages. Everything that he was doing kind of fooled the Patriots offense, and so far, nobody really knows one-on-one matchups.
Something off of this, and who else is down there but Matthew Slater. Just as they drew it up. 36-yard punt. Broncos have the ball at the 7.
Well, next Jim stats, when you play this Denver defense, here's what you can expect. You can expect a lot of people around you as you throw the football. Pressure on the quarterback. They're the best in the NFL, 2.5 yards. Last year in the championship game, they were 2.2 yards away from Tom Brady, but quarterbacks know it, they feel it. They get rid of the football before they want to, and it's Tom Brady so far today, 0 for 6.
Yeah, the tie is the start he had in a game in 2003 against the New York Giants. So Simeon, he's hit 5 of his first 7 passes for 48 yards. The big one was to Demaryius Thomas for 23 that set up a field goal the last time they had the football. That's back over to Thomas. And for a moment, Logan Ryan he almost had the beat on that one, didn't he?
He was close.
Yep.
Man, that would make me tight coming out of the end zone or being this far back. But Trevor Siemian is an aggressive thrower, decision maker. So if he has little windows, not afraid to take a chance and throw the football, very accurate. And Demaryius Thomas, I've never seen him so confident and look so fast on the football field as he has the last couple of weeks.
2nd and 3. And for Zach, that's a nice run for a first down. This is the one thing that's really been missing from this team since C.J. Anderson went out about a month and a half ago and was put on IR. They just have not been able to get anything going on the ground.
It makes sense for Gary Kubiak, right, to bring Forsett in here for many reasons. Experience. He's had him at 2 other stops.
Yep.
And he knows the system, and he's playing a defense that does a lot of different stuff. So you need a running back there to help the quarterback.
Pass That was intended for Hireman, and Simeon had to get rid of it because Logan Ryan was providing pressure. And here is Forsett. It's not very often that you actually get carries for 3 different teams in the same season, but that's the case with Justin Forsett, now playing with his 7th different team. And as you said, he played in 2012 for the Texans for Kubiak. And there's Hireman, who was the target on the last throw, down to the 49. Just to finish up Forsett, he also was with Kubiak at Baltimore in 14 when Kubiak was the offensive coordinator.
There it is, just a seam throw. Right away, watch the defense. They're looking outside. They got a little blitz on. And Trevor Siemian, man, just rears back and let it go and put it right on the target to Hireman.
His 3rd catch, Hireman. And it goes for 31. And it goes to him again. Hireman getting all this action with Virgil Green in the locker room. That's a pickup of 9.
Well, at first I thought down the field, I said, oh, that looks like A.J. Derby. But Hireman stepping in for Virgil Green, getting those throws. Of course, A.J. Derby, I bring his name up because they made a trade from him, and they got him from the Patriots.
Hireman in the last minute of real time has matched an entire season of catches. 2 of them for a total of 40 yards. Hireman, the second-year player drafted in the 3rd round out of Ohio State, 14. That's Booker's first carry, and it picks up 2, enough for the first.
Look at these 2 quarterbacks. What a start by Trevor Siemian. Tom Brady, coverage has been tight, trying to get rid of the football quick, but Trevor Siemian coming off that game last week, even though they lost, I thought he played very well against the Tennessee Titans, and so far here today.
That's Booker on the draw. Gave a little stiff arm, but Chunk stayed with him, picks up 5. Tomorrow on CBS, an Oprah Winfrey special event, The Last Interview and Final Farewell with First Lady Michelle Obama from inside the White House. Oprah and the First Lady tomorrow, 8/7 Central, only CBS. Your 2nd and 5. Simeon on the run. He has Thomas again for a first down.
Well, they love this part of the game, and this is where you can see the difference in Trevor Siemian from early in the year. Now just being instinctive. You know, doesn't like what he sees, moves in the pocket. And Gary Kubiak said to us, I'd like to see him move a little more. And throws the ball very well on the run. Really sharp so far here early.
Thomas coming off a season high 10 catches at Tennessee. He's already got 3 in this one. And that is Booker. Wrestled down by McClellan.
Well, they didn't want to start Booker today, Jim, and really kind of, you know, the so-called rookie wall. I don't know about that, if that's the reason, but take some pressure off of him, put Forsett in there, and then work Booker into the game and hope that it helps his confidence, makes him more productive. I think it was a great idea by Gary Kubiak.
So he goes back out. He had just 3 carries for 1 yard last week as Forsett again saw his first action as a Bronco. Had a rare fumble. And you look at his career, Forsett has been absolute gold holding the football, but not last week on his first handle. Here's Simeon. There's Derby. McCourty holding on. And those old teammates tangle up, gain of 6.
That was some job by the quarterback, Simeon, waiting. Look how long, all the way across the formation. And then Devin McCourty says, well, I'm an old teammate. Never got to probably tackle him in practice, found out he's a lot bigger than he thought and stronger.
It's going to close out the first quarter. Each team with a field goal. And you're watching the NFL on CBS. We start the second quarter, and the Broncos are in the red zone. Jim Nance and Phil Simms, Tracy Wolfson and Jay Feely. Important game on each side here. Week 15. It's been a wild day around the league. Some of those early finishes. 3rd and 3. Simeon is intercepted, and look out. It's a race. Simeon has an angle on Ryan. He's brought down eventually, though, by Demaryius Thomas. Ryan with his first interception of the season. We thought he almost jumped a route earlier, and this time he did.
Here he comes across the field, kid number 10. comes across Emmanuel Sanders, and Logan Ryan stays right with it, makes contact and undercuts it. And Trevor Siemian, trying to anticipate the throw, throws it before he really sees the defensive back and sees the position. Watch the anticipation, didn't get it outside far enough. I don't think it mattered wherever he threw it. Logan Ryan was going to take it.
42-yard return, and remember on the Broncos' previous possession how they had that little 7-yard out throw to Thomas, and
Very
Ryan
close
was
and tight.
so close that he took note and said, maybe next time I'll just go ahead and jump it.
Man, yeah, you know, it's kind of a giveaway sometimes. When you bring the guy across the formation, you're expecting man-to-man coverage, and you want him to be trailing where you can get the, you know, all the linebackers, everybody in the way, but that wasn't the case that time, and Logan Ryan played it well. Two big turnovers here so far for Denver. Otherwise, they're dominating.
From the Broncos, 46, Brady. Hit from behind, and the ball's on the ground. That's Tooney who fell on it. Jared Crick got the big hit on Brady.
There he goes, Jared Crick. They had a little twist on. Von Miller goes inside, and a good job by Jared Crick just to keep working. The initial protection is good. Tom Brady never felt the pressure from behind, and Crick causes the fumble.
A loss of 3 on the play, the recovery by Tooney. Crick, another former Kubiak player, disciple of Kubiak from Houston. 2nd and 13, and there is the first completion for the Patriots as Edelman is shoved out of bounds after picking up the first down.
Well, what can you count on when you talk about the Patriots? You can count on this, that Julian Edelman is going to find his way to get open, and Tom Brady's going to get throws to him. Tom Brady been throwing the football physically about as good as you could ever throw it this year, and Edelman is probably the #1 guy he can count on out there to get open and catch the ball.
Yep, that's the 80th catch of the season for Edelman. Blunt rips off the best run of the game so far for Blunt on just his 3rd carry. We've got a flag out though.
Holding, number 60, offense. 10-yard penalty, still first down.
The call against David Andrews wipes out the big gain.
Andrews blocking Sylvester Williams right in the middle, number 60. Does have his hand on the jersey. Pretty tough call. A lot of holding goes on inside. You talk about the guards in the center. But Blunt, I don't know about you, Jim, just looking at him. We had a chance to talk to him the other night, but he looks like he's in great shape. He's been doing it with the help of Dante Scarnecchia, the offensive line coach who came back.
1st and 20. Brady in the pocket. Heat was coming. Pass. It is caught. Wow. That was right over the head of 2 defenders, and Edelman brings it down for 15.
Darian Stewart, Nelson the linebacker, both on him. Patriots in a hurry up, so this play can't be reviewed. Both feet are down. It's a good catch.
Yeah, they'd win any review if they had challenged it. 2nd and 5. And Edelman with his 3rd catch on this series.
Easy guy to throw to. Julian Edelman in the slot, moves around, little stutter inside, gets open. You know, Tom Brady talked about that. I can count on him, and they used to be able to count on, of course, Rob Gronkowski, that he would draw double coverage, he can make plays, and everybody else in this team, they kind of have to help him a little bit with formations and plays to get production out of him.
Dion Lewis at the bottom. Harris is on him. Empty backfield, 1st and 10. Brady, all kinds of time in the pocket. Now, finds an open man. That's Dudley. And the fullback is finally lassoed inside the 5.
Good job by Tom Brady. Edelman's going to come in, give a little move, and try to go down the middle, but it's a 3-man rush. And, you know, veteran quarterbacks, they know, they feel the 3-man rush, so he didn't panic, took his time, and then he finally finds Devlin out there. And that was a really good play and a decision by Tom Brady.
First and goal. That's Lewis. And he reached the ball. Football came out and may have rolled right back into his arms. He was trying to reach across, break the plane. And Denver had a golden opportunity to fall on it.
Yeah, it looked like Dion Lewis fell back on it, and Chris Harris was in there. I'm not sure if he ripped it out, but...
Well, the ball just kind of rolled right back toward Lewis, who was on the ground. Looked like Darian Stewart had a real shot at this.
Let's see who rips it out. Chris Harris. He rips it out.
I'll tell you what, that's a touchdown right there.
And I was going to say, if this would have been recovered by Denver, New England, of course, would challenge if they scored, and I would challenge it anyway.
Second and goal. No flag coming out on the far sideline. That's Blunt, and he's got his 15th rushing touchdown of the season. That breaks, it sets the all-time New England single-season rush touchdown mark. He was tied with Curtis Martin, who had a couple of seasons of 14.
How about this? How about the resurgence of LeGarrette Blount? Not that just this year. Watch 46, they'll come inside. Oh, good job. Gets the block on Anderson. And LeGarrette Blount he breaks as many tackles as any running back in the NFL.
And he's got the most rushing touchdowns in the league. Again, the 15 is a New England record. I'll tell you another record that Blount has hold of, and we looked it up earlier today. The longest span in between 1,000-yard rushing seasons. Gostowski is good because Blount had a 1,000-yard season back in 2010 for the Buccaneers. 6 years later, he has one for the Patriots. It's a 14-point swing. The Ryan interception, and then the Patriots with Blount finishing it off. And LeGarrette Blount, touchdown number 15 on the ground this year.
It's interesting talking to him the other night how he said, hey, I had to regain the trust of these coaches. And what he told us from preseason, first practice, all the way through, just kept getting it done. Finally said, hey, I realized he's the man, gave him the football.
Latimer. Brought down by Bolden at the 24. So Simeon was going along, looking like he was very much in the groove, and then an ill-advised pass has turned things here at the moment.
He was rolling, man. I mean, look at this throw in between three defenders. Just can't throw it better than that. The seam pass. But then, threw it a little off target, tried to anticipate, which is a good thing, which he does do. And now the big question is, can the play calling still be aggressive, and can he stay aggressive after that big turnover?
Takes it to Forsett. Just dump it off to him here. Take the 7 yards with it.
Well, I think when you look at this too, this offense going a little quick hurry up, no huddle, but what's the concern for this New England defense? The concern, Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, that's what they were worried about today. Don't give up big plays, those two wide receivers.
23 to Sam! On my hard side!
Forsett runs into Allen Branch. Decks him for a loss of 1. Tracy, back down to you.
Jim, we saw Broncos tight end Virgil Green take a hard hit to the head in that first quarter. He is officially out with a concussion.
Not surprised to hear that. Allen Branch with that last tackle, boy, he has done. That's what makes it tough, this New England defense inside. Allen Branch, Malcolm Brown, Vince Valentine, they are all true run-stopping defensive linemen. What I mean by that, just really big and you can't move them.
Now the flags come out with a lot of finger pointing in each direction.
Neutral zone infraction, number 95, defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
So Chris Long, the 5 yards, enough to give the Broncos a first down.
Well, they were wrong. I think it's Logan Ryan who was on the outside blitzing, and Bill Belichick doesn't show too much emotion usually during the game. Big first down, though, they give the Broncos offense.
Simeon and targeting Sanders for the second time, and Emmanuel still without a catch.
Yep, see underneath coverage. Had no choice but to throw it high. Shea McClellan underneath, helping out the corner, Malcolm Butler. So sometimes, Jim, there is such a good thing as a good miss in this league. That was a good miss.
Omaha, that!
Back to Forsett. Whole lot of congestion over there. Picks up a couple.
You know, when you have wide receivers like the Denver Broncos have, and Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas, that's their offense. There has been really a lot this year. It limits what you can do on defense, and I'll give you a good example. Last week against the Baltimore Ravens, they got some good wide receivers, but not like these two guys. New England threw every blitz that you could draw up at them, and it was one of the reasons why they won the game. I mean, they did everything defensively, just confused them, had free guys running to the quarterback and all the time.
3rd and 8. And Simeon, middle of the field. What a catch. Thomas hauls it in, tries to break free, and he's got a gain of 16.
You said it, what a catch, and watch Trevor Simeon. The pocket closes in on him, and he throws it little sidearm. That's what you do. Stay back, can't step into it.
So that's how you catch it. You just pin it against your shoulder pad with one arm.
And Demaryius Thomas, his confidence, like I said, it's high, it shows.
That's Booker. He plows ahead for about 5. Well, you've said, as we prepare for this game this week, in a lot of ways, the wide receivers have saved the offense this season.
Absolutely. Look, we said it. You know, you got Forsett coming in here now, taking over the running, but the offensive line, when you can't run it, you got to throw it. And both of them are putting up good numbers when you talk about these wide receivers.
Both have a chance to go over 1,000 on the season today. As Simeon is taken down on the sack by Trey Flowers.
Well, Trey Flowers, he's another just multitasking receiver. Nowhere to go inside, but outside they were trying to throw the football against Malcolm Butler. Coverage on the other side is great. And Malcolm Butler at the bottom of the screen, watch Emmanuel Sanders. He is blanketed, nowhere to go. And Emmanuel Sanders turns to the sideline, looks at him and goes to his own teammates, my fault.
3rd and 12, that's for Flowers, a Patriot leading 6th sack of the season. Simeon looks for an open man, and he's got him. He's got him as Taylor with a first down catch.
Beautiful throw, and we saw this in practice. Down the field, over the top, and in front of the defensive back. Over the top of Shea McClellan. Beautiful throw, and I mean, we got to give him a nickname like Stretch or whatever. When you see him running around at practice, he looks like he's about 6'8". And John Elway was standing next to us during practice, Jim, and he just says he was impressed and thinks he's going to turn out to be a really good player, and he shows it on the field now.
There's Simeon. Goes with the option underneath. The Booker chunk is right there. Gain of 3. CBSSports.com. You can go all access now. You can, with the CBS All Access, you can stream the NFL on CBS. Plus, you can try it for free right now. Just go to CBS.com/NFL.
I'd say Trevor Simeon got over that interception.
Made some nice throws on this drive. He's got Thomas back in the lineup. He was down the last 3 plays. 2nd and 8. Nothing there. Throw away. Let's get an injury update. Tracy, what do you have?
Well, from the Patriots sideline, you have not seen defensive tackle Malcolm Brown out here on this drive. That's because he has a stomach injury, but they are calling him probable to return, Jim.
All right, Malcolm Brown, who tackled Kenneth Dixon of Baltimore last week in the end zone for the Patriots' 3rd safety of the season.
That's a big part of their run defense, no question. Malcolm Brown, 1st-round draft pick from Texas 2 years ago.
3rd and 8. The 4th set, and look who's there right away. Van Noy.
Nobody open down the field, couldn't see it, and the pocket just collapsed. Chris Long that time gets the pressure. Little game to the outside, they twist. Seeing more and more of this stuff, more complicated defense from New England. Why? Because the guys have been together long enough now, and they can add new plays to that playbook.
And the most significant thing about that is it knocked them out of field goal range, a loss of 6. They bypassed the chance for a 55-yard field goal attempt. Instead, they pin them down. Edelman fair catch inside the 10. A 10-3 New England lead. 5 minutes and change first half.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Live by Night from Warner Brothers Pictures, in theaters January 13th. State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM. And by Walmart. Find gifts, groceries, and more this season.
And some of the things you'll see over the Denver Art Museum, but here's Brady and the Patriots. Tom 0 for 6 first quarter, but 4 for 4 on that last drive. And that resulted in a touchdown plunge by LeGarrette Blount. Gets the handoff here. Able to pick up 3.
Well, when you're in a slump, what do? Jim Nantz, if you're Tom Brady, you go to your favorite receiver, and that's Julian Edelman. I shouldn't say slump, just off to a slow start. What a throw there. Underneath, he's very tough to cover, and then good movement by Brady, which we see a lot from him over the last couple years.
So 3 passes to Edelman that last drive, and that one to Devlin. Hitting all 4 passes on that touchdown drive. It's Lewis. And he's near the 15.
Well, what they're doing, too, just don't make it look so obvious, throwing the football. Why? Because, hey, look, you can't overstate the importance, to Josh McDaniels, the importance of trying to control Von Miller. And so far, they've done a good job in the passing game. Running the football, formations.
Brady's been hit once. That's after taking what some said was 17 hits in all in the AFC title game. Some thought it was even more.
Yeah, whatever the number is, it was a lot.
And it's a first down as White has hold of it. Ward tackles him down, but not until there's a first.
One of the matchups you got to like, left of your screen, oh, missed it, is White against TJ Ward. Last year, White, they threw the football to him in that championship game. They tried to 16 times. So they look for the matchup. Wherever they think the weakness is, and they like the matchup, that's where the Patriots are going to throw the football.
You set it downs at the 19. Blunt, the ball carrier. Into a pile after a couple. And tonight on CBS, don't miss the hit drama NCIS Los Angeles with a special holiday case. All new NCIS Los Angeles tonight after 60 minutes only. CBS.
You know, in this game now in the NFL, quarterbacks complete 65, 70% of their passes like it's nothing. This Denver defense, pretty incredible stat, I think. 54% completion passing against them. So that tells you the pass rush, the coverage.
Timeout Brady.
How good it is.
Yep, they are number 1 in the league against the pass. 2:44 to go in the second. Our sports broadcasting community lost one of our favorite guys this week. Just beloved. Craig Sager passing away at the age of 65 after a long and courageous battle with leukemia. We got to know him quite well through the years as he worked our NCAA tournament coverage with us, and he will be missed. And coming out of a Patriots timeout, got 2nd and 8 at their own 21. Lewis, and quick contact on him. as Justin Simmons comes up.
Wow, good timing. Last second, defense is disguised. Justin Simmons comes flying up out of the secondary and makes that tackle to get him in still good situation for this New England offense. As long as it's not 3rd and 10, Tom Brady has a chance to get rid of it quick and pick up the first down.
It's a 3rd and 5. Brady's pass to Edelman, and he was able to fight off 2 hits, including one by Stewart that you thought might have stopped him short, but he broke through it and has enough at the 2-minute warning. Look at the effort by Edelman. First down, New England, 2-minute warning. Coming up, the Verizon halftime report. JB, Tony Bart Boomer, Coach Cowher, scores and highlights. Again, those down-to-the-wire finishes, Green Bay, Chicago, Philly and Baltimore, Kansas City, Tennessee. The Kraft family today trying to see their franchise win the AFC East for the 8th consecutive year with a victory. They would do that. That would set the all-time record for consecutive years taking the division. Brady's pass intended for Edelman. Meanwhile, there's John Elway, Executive Vice President of Football Operations and the GM.
Yep.
And the legend around these parts.
That might be an understatement. You know, of course, all he's done for the organization as a player, but what he's done as a general manager just as important and just as exciting.
2nd and 10, look at Lewis. And Talib, one of the last members of the last line of defense, able to hold him down to 13 as he was ready to break it.
Well, it's James Devlin once again. What they did was something really cute or different. Shaq Mason went inside, let his guy go, and James Devlin, the fullback, made the block to give Lewis room to run.
And that's Lewis with his first catch to go with 59 yards on the ground.
And the patience of this offense, running the football, keeping the situations the way they wanted, and of course, the different offensive line we got out here. Tom Brady getting time and not getting hit when he throws the football like he did in the AFC Championship game.
This is a drive that began at the New England 8. They picked up a couple of 3rd down conversions. Their first of the game. Their first 2 of the game. 2nd and 5. Steps up, but the pressure goes downfield, and that was Lewis, who was in coverage. Back there was Talib with Lewis.
Well, Aqib Talib having maybe, if not his best year in his career, really close to it. They try a double move. Interesting. He's really far off, but Aqib Talib still has the speed. Really wasn't much of a double move. Tom Brady looked at Lewis the whole time. Tough matchup for Dion Lewis to beat Aqib Talib on the outside.
So Talib is out for this play. A 3rd and 5 from the 48. Ward with the takedown on Martellus Bennett, and the Patriots will punt.
Joe Tooney, the left guard, rookie, struggles a little bit in pass protection, and that was a good spin move by Sylvester Williams. Caught him, got pressure. Brady had to throw it short of the first down.
Well, the Broncos, they have 3 timeouts. They like to let the clock run down here.
Well, Gary Kubiak says we're down 10-3. Stop the drive. Not going to take any chances when they get the ball on offense, so not even going to field the punt, which is smart too.
That goes into the end zone. 32 seconds left. Just a net of 31 for Allen that time.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Bud Light. Strike gold, and you could win Super Bowl tickets for life. And by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing.
Did you see that little wink?
I did. That's great. Glasses, the hat.
The Von Miller fan.
Von Miller jersey.
Another reason why Denver did not take the timeout before the punt is because New England still has a couple. As Forsett weaves through traffic for about 7. Yeah, had Allen, for example, pinned him inside the 5, New England with the timeouts, who knows, could have done something before the Verizon halftime report, which is coming up. And they'll get you up to date. The guys in the studio with all the games that are going on here late, including Oakland at San Diego, which is a big one, given the Kansas City has already lost today. So the Raiders trying to take over first position in the AFC West. Verizon halftime reports coming up, and it's 10-3 Patriots at the intermission. This is the 5th time the Patriots have led at halftime in this stadium. They've won only once in the previous 4 such occasions. And you can follow your favorite team all season long. Just go to itunes.com/NFL. So the Broncos so good at takeaways and takeaway points, best in the league. Not New England, Denver is. But so far in the first half, 2 takeaways by the Patriots, none by the Broncos.
Yeah, you know, you look at the game and just the way the Patriots, we never know what they're going to be, right? They always kind of fool you or surprise you, and they came out, played a very controlled offense, and what did they do? They took away the best weapon that Denver has, Von Miller, because they ran the football, had 3rd and shorts to throw it, so it was easier for Tom Brady and smart by New England's offense.
They also took away Emmanuel Sanders in that first half. He did not have a catch. You can see the numbers, 187 total yards by the Broncos, but the 2 turnovers. It's a 10-3 New England lead.
I think the big thing, too, is don't forget, New England, they might give you some yards. There's a reason why they toughen up near the end zone. They second best scoring defense in the NFL.
Simeon in that first half, 15 of 21, 147 yards. And he threw that interception. And the game was tied at 3, and they were facing 3rd down from the Patriots' 15.
Well, they were in field goal range there. Then he threw a short pass late in the first half that lost yards. It took him out of field goal range, too. So, hey, Denver moving the football, just not making that play to get them to score.
Latimer grabs with 2 hands and takes off. Good run back out to the 31. Tracy Wolfson, what did you learn at halftime?
Missed opportunities. That is what both coaches told me going in and going out of half. I asked Gary Kubiak why they didn't call the timeout down the stretch there, and they said, well, it was about field position, and New England had 2 timeouts, and they get the ball here to start the half. It's all about moving the football in this second half. Also, defensive end Derek Wolfe out for the game with a neck injury.
Wow, so they've lost both Virgil Green to a concussion, and now Wolf for the rest of this game. Simeon in trouble and is taken down by Flowers. No, that was Sheard.
Jamal Sheard, for a couple weeks, was not part of this defense. I think he got the message. Watching to the outside, just run Stevenson over right into the quarterback and gets the sack. And once he went through that little period, which we see with New England players getting benched or being inactive,
Thomas ducks down out to about the 33. Yeah, that's a story that you say has been around a long time. Have you missed some assignments? You don't do what you're supposed to do? Belichick, you know, it's run through this roster. You know, some guys that you think are in solid shape, they sit down for a while.
Well, I've seen it happen to Jamal Sheard. I've seen Ninkovich get bumped around. We saw it with Chandler Jones. And, oh, where's Cyrus Jones today?
He's inactive.
Hey, you know, it's just you look, when you win Super Bowls and you want to keep players on edge, you do it like Bill Belichick does it. Of course, he can do this because he's had such great success with the players and the team.
He's got a 3rd and 8 here, Simeon. Dropping it is dropped at the other end by Derby.
Oh,
wow, that's a big one too. Would have been a first down at about the 45.
It's a big drop, and it's a really good route. Watch him go down the field and sell it inside against Patrick Chung. Stops, football right on the money, but easy to see. The head turned away from the ball before he caught it. That's why he dropped it.
Derby, who was the Patriots' leading receiver in the preseason with 15 catches, including a couple of touchdowns, and then they traded him to the Broncos October the 25th. He was only active 4 of the first 7 weeks in New England. Look at Edelman check off the first hit, and then Latimer wraps him up. So Tom Brady warming up in that second quarter. He's got the 7-point lead. Some serious style points on a very chilly late afternoon here. That's more like it. Patriots first possession of the second half. It's Blunt, and that's Ward who got him down low.
Well, one of the big keys for the Patriots, let's make sure we keep Von Miller from ruining this football game. And Marcus Cannon, number 61, stands up to him great in the first half. Now watch this. He takes his arms away so Von Miller couldn't grab him and pull himself around. That was a tremendous technique. Then how about this to the right? Just knocks him down. So Marcus Cannon, not the same guy that he saw last year in this game. He's improved greatly.
Miller in the 2 games against the Patriots last year had 3.5 sacks, an interception, 7 quarterback hits. As Brady tries to find his tight end, Bennett, to leave on the coverage. Bennett with only 1 catch for 1 yard. Hogan has been held without a catch. In fact, he has not even been targeted, nor has Malcolm Mitchell, the rookie who's been coming on late in the season for New England.
Watch 61. Spin move by Von Miller, and he still recovered Cannon. But you're right, Jim. They cannot find the next guy to throw the football to.
Edelman, the only receiver, wide receiver, with a catch. He's got 4 for 50. 3rd and 9. Brady. Ray has him, and a flag is out. Ray knocks him down at the 17.
Well, he beat Tooney that time.
Holding, number 62, offense. That penalty is declined. It's 4th down.
And what does Wade Phillips do? This is really smart. They put right here Shane Ray, so quick and fast, just hard for Tooney to take him and block him. You know, you're used to blocking big guys where they're not so quick and you can adjust. But man, Shane Ray, what a difference in him too this year compared to his rookie year. They are loaded with outside pass rushers on this Denver team.
So the 2nd sack of the game by the Broncos. And there's Norwood, who they were saying from the sideline after he muffed that first punt of the game that he lost it in the shadows. Just passing along word.
I hear you. Coach, I didn't see him. I'm
trying to turn this one. Gets a grasp of it. And he gets whacked pretty hard there by Markevius Mingo. After a 49-yard punt.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. Hyundai, official sponsor of the NFL. And by McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Well, there's an interesting pair of handmade skis from Myers Skis in Denver. Like to see you up on the slope sometime.
Yeah.
That'll be a snapshot of grace and beauty.
Snapshot of something, probably my rear end falling down.
There you go. First down carry for Set. Give him a couple. Friday, by the way, December 30th, CBS Sports back to the Sun Bowl in El Paso. Christian McCaffrey and Stanford takes on North Carolina. CBS long time, great tradition. Down in El Paso continues. That's for Set, bringing it outside, and he is stopped about a half-yard short of the first, but we do have a marker out.
Holding, number 73, offense. 10-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Speaking of Christian McCaffrey, his father is here Part of the Denver Broncos radio network. There he is.
Has the glasses on right in the middle. Big Ed. Tremendous receiver. Played for the Giants. Actually got to throw a few footballs to him. Good career. Really good career out here in Denver. And, man, does he have some sons that can play some football. Christian, he's got a young son. Dylan played out here, won a state championship. Going to quarterback. Great prospect going to the University of Michigan.
2nd and 18 after the penalty. And that's in the direction of Thomas. Update time. Let's go back to the studio in New York.
Hey, Jim, the second coaching casualty of the week and this season took place as Gus Bradley, the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, has been relieved of his duty. 2-12 thus far this season, 14-48 over his career. No announcement regarding who the interim coach will be. Let's take it back to Jim Nance.
Thank you, JB. It was Jeff Fisher earlier in the week who was jettisoned by the Rams, and Bradley and the Jags lost today in a fashion that's become commonplace this year.
Yep.
It looked like they would win the game and only to lose it. Here's Thomas on a 3rd and 18. Not going to get anywhere close to getting it all back.
We keep, again, the penalty by Okung really put him behind the chains. I love that phrase, but it's hard to overcome, especially against a good defense. And Malcolm Butler, you know, done a tremendous job one-on-one against Emmanuel Sanders so far today. These Patriots defense, they've been up to the task. And him, these wide receivers also.
It's Dixon punting again. Good catch. Edelman has the grab and he turns around and points to Latimer. And then says to the official, wait a minute. He bumped me. No flag. We haven't had a first down here through 3 possessions combined in the second half. We've got a wind chill of 8 degrees in this matchup of the last 2 Super Bowl champions. New England 2 years ago, Denver last year.
Wind chill of 8 degrees. Crowd.
It's Lewis. And how about the way the Patriots have played to this point? I know you've gone back on it a couple of times about how much Denver has always played well against New England and takes them a little bit out of what they normally look like.
Well, you know, listen, they get fired up, and we felt it at the complex on Friday. It's New England week, and so you got that. And if you look at the Patriots, go, where's that wide open offense? Well, that's great against most teams in the NFL, but who they're playing against, the pass rush, the coverages that they can cover. So it makes it tough for Tom Brady, as we've seen here today.
2nd and 6.
It's a good team they're playing over there in Denver.
Lewis has a jump outside. And another thought on this is the Broncos, again, they're in a fight trying to get into the postseason. They've got a brutal scheduled timeout called here by the Broncos. In fact, it was called before the play, they say. They were running some players onto the field late, so I got the timeout, that last play. Does not go in the books.
So,
Timeout Denver.
But you're right. Just go back to your conversation. You know, the fact that, listen, I think when I look at it, the nemesis for this New England football team, especially their offense, they're playing against them today. So if I'm the Patriots, of course you want to win every game. And this is a tough situation. But you want to win, and you hope this can be the win that knocks the Broncos out of the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, there are scenarios where if Denver got in as the 6, and right now they're in a battle with Miami for the last wild card. Still got a couple of weeks on a lot of different scenarios. But if Denver got in as a 6 and New England was the 1, well, it's one Denver wild card win on the road away from again having this matchup, although it'd be at Gillette Stadium.
That's right.
And again, New England does not want to see Denver again.
I don't think they do, because this defense, we've seen it too much. They can control this offense, and hard to beat it.
That's where it stands at the moment, with everyone in that AFC South winning today. Houston, Tennessee, and Indianapolis. Houston right now has the tiebreak. Nothing's clinched. There's Brady to Lewis.
And, you know, just to go back to that point again, in my notes, I was like, wow, New England's throwing the football outside, down the field more than ever this year. And they admitted, Tom Brady says that he trusts Malcolm Mitchell out there, Chris Hogan. Well, we're not seeing that today.
Haven't even thrown it to him.
No.
But no targets to Hogan nor Mitchell.
Coverage, been excellent. Pass rush. And, of course, I think the Patriots just playing a different style of game, a little game of chicken, not taking chances, which is smart on the offensive side.
3rd and 2. They have not had even a 20-yard play from scrimmage. Brady. He's got Edelman for the first down. Talib tried to get a hand on it, but the pass had enough zip.
Oh.
And it was on the perfect mark. Gain of 8.
You said the right word. It had enough zip. Akeem knows he wants to undercut it and tries and sticks his arm out and just misses the football. And over the years, it's amazing to watch Tom Brady throw 5-yard passes about as hard as you can throw a football. And these guys, they catch them. Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, it doesn't matter. They catch it in stride and keep on going.
Blunt's the running back. They fake to him. Brady slides over to throw it, and it's caught with a flag out. There's Hogan. The first time he's been thrown to in this game. And if it holds up, it's a gain of 18.
Yeah, they held him. Great play action fake. You expect Chris Hogan to go across the field. He stopped and came back the other way, fooled the defense.
Prior to the pass, holding number 21 defense. That penalty is declined. The result of the play is completed pass, first down.
Here he goes across. Good play action fake.
And that 18-yard gain, Phil, is the longest play of the day so far for the Patriots.
Boy, good sell by Chris Hogan. There's the hold. I'll tell you what, Martellus Bennett, if it wasn't for the pressure, he could have had a chance down the right sideline. So they were going for the home run that time. Been setting it up all day long. There's the pass distribution by Tom Brady to his tight end, running backs, and wide receivers. 6
catches by wideouts, 5 of the 6 Edelman. Just able to stand in the pocket, and Edelman has it stripped out of his hands by Nelson.
Well, speaking of Julian Edelman, when you lose Rob Gronkowski, weeks 5 through 10, 26% of where the ball was in the air went to Edelman. Now, weeks 11 through 15, look at the difference, though. Tom Brady has great trust in Julian Edelman. When in doubt, look for number 11.
They go to 33 here. It's Lewis. And that's his 13th carry of this game. It goes for 5. 13 for 68.
He tripped on his own guy that time. Little running back, very good receiver, but also so quick, very good between the tackles running the football.
James White has come in for Lewis. Patriots a 3rd and 6. Got to get to the 39 for the first. And Brady calls a timeout. And we'll be back to the Mile High City in 30 seconds. Brady with a quick word on the sideline with Josh McDaniels, who was the coach here, head coach of the Broncos back in 2009 and into 2010. It might very well be a head coach again in this league soon.
Oh, I think so. In fact, I think he's going to have quite a few quarters when this season is over.
3rd and 6. They have not converted from 3rd and 6 or longer. Brady in trouble. Got the time and able to float it right over Stewart into the arms of Edelman for the first down.
Oh my gosh, what good protection. And Tom Brady, Nate Solder does a great job of recovering, and one touch, and Darian Stewart, that football was like, oh, I said that's going to be intercepted, but excellent movement in the pocket once again by Brady. Man, 39 years old. Arm as strong as ever. His feet good as they've been his whole career.
He gives it to Blunt, who has been contained. That is Ward coming up from the safety spot. Holds him to 2. 7 carries, 11 yards. And the game's only touchdown, Blunt. By the way, tonight, NBC, the NFL continues. Tampa, the Cowboys. Washington will host Carolina on Monday night on ESPN. And then Thursday night, the Giants and the Eagles.
Well, no Derek Wolfe in there. Patriots been running that football hard, physical, bigger than this defense. Can the Broncos defense hang in?
2nd and 8, blunt. Again, a short gain. He has not piled up big numbers in this one, but he's now eclipsed 5,000 career rushing yards in this game. Surpassing that number today.
Time Adam. Passes on a tackle.
For a guy that came into the league undrafted, he becomes now the 6th all-time undrafted to go over 5,000. Priest Holmes, the most ever out of Texas.
Yep. Another big 3rd down.
Converted twice, a 3rd down this drive. Brady, ball slips out of his hand, gets rid of it. And that play, a bust from the beginning.
Well, a little blitz. Even if he'd have held the football, the pressure was going to get there if he didn't fumble it. Watch the little twist. Here comes DeMarcus Ware free. Oh, it caught him off guard. He was trying to see if they were going to blitz to his left side. Football caught him by surprise.
So it'll be a 40-yard field goal attempt by Gostowski, who made one in the same direction in the first quarter from 45. They're going to the snap, back to Allen, the kick, virtually dead center for the 10-point margin. 5.5 to go, 3rd quarter. 10-point lead.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon. It's always a great gift on Verizon. And by Patriots Day. Select Cities Wednesday, everywhere January 13th.
See several of the Bronco players recently visiting the University of Colorado Hospital to help the spirits of those undergoing treatment, making a difference in their community. And now the Patriots get set to kick with Latimer, the returner. And when will the Bronco offense get things in gear? Put up over 200 yards of offense, but have not produced a 1st down so far in the 2nd half. This will be their 3rd drive of the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, listen, they penalties, so they're going against a good defense. I think this New England defense, more complex and better now than it's been all year long. But let's kind of go back to the other side. For the Patriots, Tom Brady's working out there to get these 1st downs and get them in position, so both defenses playing very well here today.
So 5:28 to go, 3rd quarter.
You know, just think of that one drive. He hit A.J. Derby, would have been a big 1st down, and he missed it. Then the last drive, a penalty, put him in a tough situation. So hard to overcome little mistakes when you're playing somebody that's good.
Fake to Booker. And now off the deep drop, the deep throw to Sanders. And he was not in bounds. Sanders still without the catch.
No, just not fooled. It's just a nice job. The whole play by Malcolm Butler, reading the quarterback, knew he had help underneath, so he was in perfect position the whole time. In fact, football was thrown in the field of play, but it had to been a defender to knock the football away. You know, the run game not as good as they want. Gary Kubiak's calling card was always deep play actions. Not anymore.
So they go to the ground on 2nd and 10 for just 3. That's Booker. And you can see what they've done. Very little there to show for it. Just a field goal coming in the 1st quarter.
Well, you know, we spend so much time talking about Tom Brady and the Denver defense and New England's offense. Got to look at this New England defense where they're starting to, or what they're turning into. There you go. Who's going to be the blitzer? Everybody's standing up.
3rd and 7. Again, they go deep. They go deep, and it's incomplete. Almost. Thomas had Rowe on the coverage.
Beautiful throw that time. Thomas, you got to make these contested catches. Eric Rowe on the outside. Denver does not throw the football deep a lot. That was excellent coverage.
Oh,
Yeah, there's contact, but it doesn't matter. Demaryius Thomas should have got those arms together and made that catch.
Yeah, that's the point, as you look at it from that angle. That was dropped right in there. Should have been a big gain. Instead, a third consecutive 3 and out. Big hop for Dixon's punt. Edelman stutter step, stops, goes, and again it's Latimer who brings him down. The flag down back at the far end of the field.
Receiving team. It's a 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. It'll be first down. Timeout.
Bolden. And again, the Patriots able to handle the Broncos offense, which is stagnant for the second straight week. The Patriots, with a win, would make it 8 consecutive AFC East titles. That would break the mark that, well, they shared with Chuck Knox's Rams of the 70s of 7 consecutive. Which in this day and age of free agency and all.
False start, number 61, offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Pretty amazing achievement.
Yeah, I think it's, amazing, incredible. This consistent run we've seen for the Patriots for so long under Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, Bob Kraft. And they never sit still, do they? You know, you look at that every week, it just seems like, oh, well, with this offseason, they got Chris Long, Kyle Van Noy during the season.
First and 15, and the handoff to Lewis. And Talib. And Nelson combine on the tackle near the 10. We go to New York with an update.
Hey, Jim, Tony wanted to showcase a tight end.
Yeah, let's do this. All right, the second touchdown for Phillip Rivers on the day. This one goes to tight end Hunter Henry for the touchdown. The extra point was missed, though. This game's going back and forth. San Diego is up 16-13 over Oakland.
Back to Jim Nance.
All right, the Raiders with a win would be in first position in the AFC West. Off Lewis. They'll make that White. That is James White this time. It'll set up 3rd and 1. And back to all this postseason action, accomplishments through the years. Tom Brady's next playoff game will be his 32nd postseason start. Now, you know guys around the league who have never been in a playoff game. And good players.
Good players.
Like Brandon Marshall.
Brandon Marshall, how about today? Chris Long.
Yep, there's a good one.
He's going to see one this year.
So Brady will have the equivalent of 2 full regular seasons with his next playoff start, his 32nd. He's got a 3rd and 1 here. Pressure and an open man. And that was a big tackle by Stewart because White was ready to take off.
It was a touchdown. It was. He was going to go all the way if that was not a shoe top tackle. White, we saw this last year in this game. He caught some short passes, got some big gains, and it was an all-out blitz. Nobody back there to help the defensive backs. Tom Brady. T.J. Ward hits him. But off coverage, here comes the blitz. He knew he had the slant, put it right on the money.
Lewis returns to the backfield. And a first down snap and a give to Lewis. That's Crick driving it back, but he's got 5 to show for it. Tonight, the Pope's Choir, the oldest and most heavenly of them all. In the most spectacular setting, only on 60 Minutes tonight. Only CBS. So total yards in the first quarter, the Patriots managed 39 yards.
Yep.
At 187 cents. Meanwhile, they have shut down Denver. Only 60 yards since the opening quarter. And Lewis is getting quite a heavy workload today.
Well, listen, this is what we're seeing here. We're just seeing one of the many faces, or whatever, however you want to put it, of the New England Patriots. Last week it was throwing it down the field, doing everything today. They're showing their power. Their offensive line doing a great job at the line of scrimmage.
And on first down, it's Lewis for another 4. He's got 17 carries, 88 yards. I don't know how many people thought coming into the day that Lewis would be approaching 20 rushes.
Well, you watch him play last week. LeGarrette Blount going over 1,000 yards. You talked about him. Yeah, I thought they would just try to really use the big guy and smash him. Instead, it's been Lewis.
2nd and 6. It's White. He's got 2 as we're in the final minute of the 3rd quarter.
And the big difference, Dante Scarnecchia, the offensive line coach, the big difference in this game from last year to now, a lot of them, but the offensive line. It's just different and playing better.
Third and 5. Can the Broncos take him off the field? Pass incomplete. Off the hands of Hogan. See if he had a chance to make a catch on this one.
Yeah, Chris Hogan expects to catch all of them in this league. He tries to go down there and grab it.
Of course, Hogan had that big 79-yard touchdown late in the game that really closed the door on the Ravens Monday night. Hunt bounces at the 5, and it's a dead bounce. So Slater is able to field it there on the final play of the 3rd quarter. 43-yard punt and a beauty. Going to the 4th, New England leads it 13-3. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Just as it was last week for the Broncos out in Nashville. In fact, Denver's only managed now 13 points over the last, 7 quarters.
Hard to make certain plays to score. You know, you got to be deceptive, Jim. You know that. It's just not always about talent. And you can be deceptive because the defense is guessing. Oh, they're going to run the ball at us. Oh, it's a play action, whatever. So just the variety of plays that Denver's offense can run because they're not a good running football team has cut down dramatically.
Well, they haven't had a first down in nearly a quarter and a half. 21 minutes, 40 seconds of game action. Simeon in the end zone. Now runs out with it and saves a sack, picks up about a yard.
Well, one of the reasons why we haven't seen big plays, Emmanuel Sanders against Malcolm Butler. Watch the coverage, bottom of your screen, all over it. How about this one at the bottom of the screen? This calls the sack. Just shadows him underneath. I know he had help deep, but doesn't bite on the double move. He reads the quarterback. Malcolm Butler.
It's a 2nd down run for nothing at all, maybe a yard. Forsett now for the game. 10 carries, 37 yards. It looked like it was a little promising for Denver at the start of this game. A couple of Forsett runs. You thought, well, maybe they can open up things for the rest of this offense if they can get something established. But again, they've gone a quarter and a half without a first down.
Well, this New England defense 5th in the NFL against the run, so I think you're going to do it consistently pretty tough.
Simeon, not down yet, but there is a flag now. Sidearms it. Incomplete. Forsett hit the ground.
The result of the play was an incomplete pass. Holding, number 71, offense. Penalty is declined. It's 4th down.
And that will bring back out Dixon to punt for a 6th time in this game.
It's the right side. Sheared against Donald Stevenson just again.
We did Sheared overpower him, huh?
Yeah, a couple times, and you know, it's not just the fact that once he got back in this lineup and got some playing time once again, it's been dynamic.
Big punt by Dixon. Takes Edelman to the 30. And he goes down with a fight at the 35. 58 yards that punt traveled Inside 14 minutes to play. Patriots with the football and the 10-point lead. Now, 5 years ago today, right here, it was Brady against Tebow. 41-23 New England victory. Then they would meet again in the playoffs at New England with Brady throwing 6 touchdowns. In the pocket. Trying to get away from Ray. He just throws it away. Tom saying in the production meeting that he trusts his offensive line, wanted to get ahead. He doesn't have to worry about with Peyton on the other side, this being one of those kind of shootout games where you got to score 35 points.
Yeah, that's right. Well, they're managing the game. Tom Brady, the best thing he's done today, he's made some plays, but just knowing the situation, knowing what he's up against, and knows how their defense is playing against this Denver offense. Careful, smart, and excellent game managed by the New England coaches here today, too.
They got some pressure on him that time. Again, it was Shane Ray, who's had a sack in this game. 2nd and 10. Trying to bring the heat again, and that was Nelson on coverage. Aqib Talib was able to get to Brady, knock him down after the pass.
Well, coverage was good. Tom Brady actually gets plenty of time to throw the football, but nobody's open. And overall, this Denver defense has done a real good job against all the crossing routes, all those short throws that Tom Brady likes to use on this offense.
10-point lead, 2 incompletions though on this drive, so virtually no time off the clock. And 3rd and 10. Ware coming in, pass complete, and the stick is made on James White by Todd Davis. So quick work pulled off by the Broncos defense.
DeMarcus Ware on the outside is going to loop back inside, sells it, and Tooney was surprised because it just took him a little longer to get there. Left guard wasn't looking for it. Another excellent stand by the Denver defense.
Here is Allen, who has done a great job with field position in this game. Slater's been able to down a couple of punts inside the 10. This one's not very deep. But it gets a hugely favorable rollout. And the crowd here is not happy about the way that was handled.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Jaguar, the art of performance. K Jewelers, for 100 years, every kiss begins with K. And by Pizza Hut, no one out-pizzas the Hut.
And the Broncos offense finally do something. 12 plays, 24 yards, without a first down in the second half, and they're down 2 scores. For the first time in this game, Emmanuel Sanders has a catch. And it goes for 7. Thursday Night Football. That'll be on NBC and NFL Network. Giants at Eagles. The Giants with another big win today, beating Detroit.
Yep, Giant defense once again, outstanding.
2nd and 3. Booker. He stopped a yard short.
Well, they're trying to go with a little tempo there, maybe sneak a run play in there, but this run defense, you see big Jamal Brown in there, and this Denver offensive line, not big by NFL standards, hard to move these guys out. And you got this Matt Patricia, and he admitted to us when we talked Friday night that, hey, the guys, the core group of defensive players out there every week so they can do more and more. Of course, they're getting better. Communication is great.
3rd and 1. They're on him. And all the way back at the 5, Malcolm Brown and Trey Flowers both get to him. Brown in on the last 2 plays.
Yep, it's Trey Flowers that time going against Max Garcia. Right here, right in the middle, number 98. And he plays a little defensive end, gets inside on pass rushing situations. Long arms, excellent pass rusher, 2nd year out of Arkansas.
Around the end zone, Dixon. Fair catch. Edelman at the 47. So things went from bad to worse for the Denver offense that series. 11 minutes left. Early headlines today. Ryan Suckup connects from 54 yards with no time left. The Titans win at Kansas City. And the Texans went to Tom Savage in the first half of that game, and they came from behind to beat Jacksonville. And the Steelers trailed most of the way against Cincinnati, but got the win to stay on top in the AFC North, as Baltimore was able to squeak out a win against the Eagles, who went for 2 at the end of the game and failed to convert for a 1-point Raven win. Play action pass caught. It's Bennett. And New England has its biggest play of the day with that one right there. Gain of 34.
Yeah, just great deception. Here he comes across. You got an extra offensive lineman in there. You got the tight ends up there. I'm thinking LeGarrette Blount's in the backfield. It's got to be a run. And they caught him by surprise. And Bennett stumbles, recovers. They were thinking the same thing, this Denver linebacking crew. They were thinking run all the way. Bennett wide open.
Back the longest play by either team. The Denver defense cannot give up anything more than a field goal here. With 10:20 to go. Brady fires it in there at the 5, and it is caught. Mitchell with his first grab of the game.
Well, he changed it up that time. They put Mitchell in the slot. So they gave him a little more room and a chance to get inside and make a play. And that time Mitchell's open. Julian Edelman was open. The Denver defense, hey, they've been under the gun for, it seems like, ever since about the middle of the second quarter. Patriots great field position.
This is blunt territory, and the Broncos wise to that. And they stuffed that play for no gain.
And, you know, just the way they're playing today. Think of this Patriots, what they've done. What was their number one game plan on offense to do today? To take care of Von Miller. And I haven't heard you say his name in quite a while, Jim, because the play calling by Josh McDaniels, the better offensive line play, and just the management of the game so different, it's just eliminated Von Miller.
152 total yards this half to only 19. Now with the 2nd and goal at 9 minutes remaining. It's White cutting outside, darting inside, and Davis stacks him up. A couple of yards short. Von Miller in on that play.
Yeah, he got blocked pretty good though by Marcus Cannon, but he finally got off of it at the last second to make the tackle. Watch Cannon, 61, the right tackle. Well, Von Miller just throws him off. Good job of keeping him out of the end zone.
3rd and goal. A must stop here for Denver. Back to the end zone, just a throwaway. And Gostkowski's coming out for a 21-yard field goal.
Well, it was almost like you almost know it's going to go to Julian Edelman, number 11. They put him in motion. Chris Harris just sitting there waiting for it. We've seen that play so many times.
You know what that play made me think of? Same point on the field where they went for the 2.
Yes.
With 12 seconds to go that would have tied it. They made that big comeback, couple of big passes to Gronk, including one on 4th and 10, then the touchdown.
Edelman came from the other side.
And T. broke it up, and Roby picked it off. And Denver went on to win Super Bowl 50. 21 yards it is. Gostkowski, 2 for 2 today. And he's got another one. 2 field goals in the second half by Gostkowski. That's the only scoring we've had since the intermission. 16-3 New England.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Garmin Fitness. Let's beat yesterday. And by Amazon Prime. Get free 2-day shipping on millions of items.
Jolly old St. Nick is a week away for making a lot of young people happy.
Yes, he is.
Okay, Simeon and this anemic offense. See what they can do. Starting from the 25, Gostowski sends it all the way through the back of the end zone. Again, the latest AFC playoff picture looks like this. You still got Oakland trailing at San Diego right now by a field goal in the fourth. There's the NFC playoff picture. There's actually still some scenarios where even the Giants could be the #1 overall seed.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, the Patriots or the Broncos, one of those two teams has been the #1 seed in the AFC in the last 6 years. It's been one of these two. Here's Simeon trying to get it started, and he does with a first down. It's Derby out to about the 42. So finally, for the first time in a long time, they move the chains. Gain of 16.
Yep, Derby comes across the field, and good pass protection for Simeon. Now, this New England defense knows it's going to be passes. Can the offensive line hold up against the pass rush?
28.5 minutes between first downs, and they've got 2 in a row. Sanders gets collared by Butler, but another big gainer for the Broncos.
Defense is rotating. In other words, they're moving away from Sanders, and he comes in behind Logan Ryan and gets the completion. Good anticipation, excellent throw by Trevor Simeon.
First for 16 to Derby, then 21 to Sanders. Down at the line and incomplete. That was Alan Branch.
That was a good knockdown too, because Demaryius Thomas is open going across the middle. Good high release, nothing that Simeon can do, but a good job by Branch. If you can't get to the quarterback, keep your eyes on him and jump, and that's what he did. Watch Demaryius Thomas. Boom, he's open there. They're going to throw it to him.
Not like it. Go with it again. Simeon. He could use it right there. That's Flowers. We also have at the bottom of the pile Kyle Van Noy.
Yep, Van Noy that time, and Flowers switched positions and did a little game inside, and that's, you know, I've talked about it. This defense has gotten more complicated, and especially in the defensive line, moving around more on the pass rush.
I'd like to welcome those of you just joining us here. 60 Minutes is coming up next, except on the West Coast, as you see Matt Patricia. He was a trained aeronautical engineer at RPI. Decided to become a football coach. 3rd and 15. Simeon's pass to Thomas, and it got him in field goal range with that completion, so that was big. They're looking like they're going to go for it. They don't need a field goal here down 13.
This is 4-down territory, even if they didn't get this pass. But Simeon backpedaling off his back foot. What a throw right on the money to Demaryius Thomas. And
we got a 4th and 2 coming up. So 6.5 minutes to go. Field goal not the option at all. So Simeon, he had a lot of pressure on him on that throw. Did a good job of getting it to Thomas and Patricia and his defense trying to lock the door right here. Me too. Simmons pass open and dropped. What a hit. McCourty just walloped Thomas. And that hit, he broke up, and Thomas is still down.
Yeah, it's a big hit. Devin McCourty can really cover some ground. Remember, he came in the NFL as a first-round drafted corner. And that time they played the short route. Thomas was open along the sideline, but I don't think he expected this hit.
Look at him. He had clutched it and was bringing it to his belly, and then all of a sudden McCourty comes in, and this brings the football back to New England.
Well, excellent form too. Used his shoulder, hit him low. It was a good read by Trevor Simeon. The corner played the quick out route. That's why he looked like he was wide open down the sideline. How about that? Matt Patricia pretty excited. You talked about, what was he? What kind of engineer?
Aeronautical engineer. He was going to build military planes for the government.
Yeah.
How about explaining that one to your mom?
Yeah, Mom,
I'm going to give up that education at RPI.
I'm going to go coach at Amherst for $3,000. And the mother, well, I can't imagine what she said to him or what she thought. But hey, it's worked. It's paid off. What a job he's done with this defense along with Bill Belichick.
Thomas still unsettled and woozy on the bench. 2 timeouts for the Broncos. And now Blunt. He gets knocked back a yard. By the way, the main lineup of games moves to Saturday, Christmas Eve day. And many of you are going to see the action late in the 4:05 window with Indianapolis at Oakland. So we'll see the Jets in New England, other regional action. The 1 o'clock window, all starting with the NFL Today, noon Eastern time, presented by Southwest Airlines. It was a flag on that last play.
After the play, there are fouls by both teams. Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 15 of the offense and number 21 of the defense. That's both of their first unsportsmanlike fouls. Those fouls all set. It's second down.
You know, Jim, couple things about this game today. Such a different looking game than we saw Peyton Manning, Tom Brady last year in the championship. And, you know, the one thing that sticks out to this Patriots football team, they're just tougher. And I think that's what they tried. That was their goal starting out the year, that we just want to be a tougher football team. And to do that, that means you got to be able to run the football. They've done that this year.
Brady throwing and incomplete with a flag. Von Miller on coverage intended for Mitchell. And this is a New England passing attack that figures they have a new weapon. Inactive today, Michael Floyd, but they just signed him this week.
Holding number 58. Defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Well, Von Miller just grabbed him right around the waist real quick, then grabbed the arm, so pretty easy call.
There's Michael Floyd, former first-round pick for the Cardinals, who was found asleep behind the wheel of a running car in Scottsdale late Sunday night last week after the Cardinals returned home from a game at Carolina, charged with a DUI, and they waived them, and then the Patriots picked them up. About 24 hours of clock score made the trip here, inactive for the game, and now look at this now.
The ruling on the field
they say he's down.
Was the runner was down by contact, second down.
Shaq Barrett, who picked up the football.
Well, this could be challenged by Gary Kubiak if he wants to. You heard what he said, the ruling on the field.
But right knee was down, so it appeared.
Even though that whistle is blown, doesn't mean you can't challenge the play.
Well, you got 2 timeouts left, and
Gary Kubiak got the word from upstairs that
you're not going to win it.
You're not going to win it, so he didn't waste a timeout.
Timeout called on the other side by the Patriots. We'll have a 2nd and 8 when we come back in 30 seconds to Denver. Okay, so the Patriots coming out of a timeout they called with 4:40 to go and leading by 13. There's Lewis, and he's got a first down. He bounced around and getting close to 100 yards.
Well, Jim, let's go back and watch Devlin here. Here he comes across. Watch the block he makes to give Lewis. And he is against a defensive tackle, Sylvester Williams. Man, just takes him on. It looks like a lineman when he goes in there and makes the hit. But James Devlin, Josh McDaniels brought his name up. So did Tom Brady. Just says he's so important to their football team. He brings toughness. And LeGarrette Blount likes a lead blocker like him in front of him.
First down carry to Blount. He drives ahead, gets thrown down by Davis.
Well, let's watch James Devlin in a few blocks. Like an unsung hero here. It's not always about the quarterback and receivers. Tremendous block there. Now the touchdown run by LeGarrette Blount. Oh, yeah. Made contact with Anderson.
And a timeout called by the Broncos, leaving them with 1. And that gives us a chance to go to the studio in New York. JB.
Hey, Jim, a huge defensive stop here.
Yeah, on 3rd and goal, the San Diego defense gets stingy. Kyle Emanuel makes this stop. Sebastian Janikowski would kick the field goal. It is all knotted up, 16-16. Remember, if Oakland wins this game, they punch their ticket to the playoffs.
Jim Nantz and Phil Simms.
All right, guys. So that's a huge final 9 minutes of action there.
319.
And now with the 2nd and 5. Blount. Jump cut and brought down. Gain of 2. Talk about Denver here. And I just want to remind people, I'm receiving word that I got another timeout called here by Denver, that if that game is still ongoing and it appears to be running behind this one enough that will be the case, bonus coverage coming up of the Raiders and Chargers after this one. But you look at the Broncos, who started out 4-0 at the beginning of this season, and barring any kind of unforeseen comeback here, this would make them 4-6 in their next 10 games, and in huge danger of missing out on the playoffs with games still to go against Kansas City and Oakland.
It all comes down to this. If you said, okay, it's not the quarterback, it's not the wide receivers. I think the defense, you've been impressed with what they've done here today against arguably the best offense in football. It's the offensive line. That's the difference in this football team. They thought they fixed it. They can't run the football. They can't control the game. They can't get their defense in position enough where Von Miller can take over. That's why you go 4-6.
3rd and 3, and now New England. It picks up the first down. Remember, the Broncos out of timeouts. Through the hands of the receiver. It's Edelman. He gets the flag.
Yep. T.J. Ward. He picked him up and slammed him to the ground.
Ward, for some reason, flexes his muscles, but he might be flagged here with a penalty that will essentially end the game. Let's see if it's on Ward, as Edelman was making the appeal.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, 43 defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Not a moment to celebrate.
No, not a moment to celebrate. And, just Denver's going to look back at this game, and it depends on what happens. They can still make the playoffs. But look at all the opportunities Gary Kubiak's team had today. I mean, many penalties, drop passes. The ball was on the ground a few times. They couldn't come up with it. They can find a way, though, to win the next 2 after this game, to get in the playoffs. I don't care what you say. When you have a defense like they have, they'll be tough against anybody.
A lot of folks down in Miami happy to see what's happening here in Denver today, as the Dolphins won last night against the Jets, and they've had a second-half surge.
It's been tremendous. You know what it came down to them? Just like here in Denver, their offensive line got healthy, turned their season around.
Davis on him.
If this was a Thanksgiving Day game, our all-iron trophy, I'd give it to James Devlin, because he is throwing some leather out there. And Cannon, how about the job he's done at right tackle? We talked about it many times against Von Miller, just the management of the game and what they've done here, the Patriots. This is a really tough. They flexed their muscles. They wanted to be a tough team. They showed it here today.
They rushed for 133 yards. Stopping the run to be problematic going here. Adds about 3, maybe 4 more. Still have to snap it for 3rd down before the 2-minute warning.
Von Miller. You know, last year you think about, he's having a tremendous year this year. He could still be the defensive MVP, but last year they were in position so many times where they were leading late in the games and they could unleash their pass rush, and there haven't been enough of those scenarios for them this year.
3rd and 4. Blunt. He is stacked up. That'll bring us to the 2-minute warning. You're watching the NFL on CBS. 16-3 Patriots. Tonight on CBS, 60 Minutes and the story of the Pope's Choir from the Vatican. Followed by new episodes, NCIS Los Angeles, Madam Secretary, and Elementary on America's #1 network. New England here on 4th and 3 is going to run a play instead of risking a possible blocked field goal.
Brown 19!
And Blunt is stopped. We'll see the Broncos come back out without any ability to stop the clock. And again, bonus coverage is following this one with 4 minutes remaining down in San Diego, and they're tied, and that's got a lot of significance, this game right here, Oakland and San Diego.
Well, San Diego, you know, as you say, oh, look at games the next 2 weeks and think you see easy wins for playoff-bound teams. There's nothing easy in the NFL, and there's nothing more than the opposition likes, like San Diego, to let's do something to maybe help, not ruin, but change it for the Oakland Raiders.
Now there is Sanders with the catch at the 45. Now if the Raiders go on and win that game and win out, they have Indianapolis and Denver here still to play. But if they win out and go 13-3, and New England loses one of its last 2 games, also to end up 13-3, Oakland would be the one. They win on the tiebreak. Simeon floats it over the head of Thomas.
Chris Long got a little pressure that time. You think of this game, couple big plays. Devin McCourty's hit, which could have put the Broncos down here to score to make this game tight. A 1-score game that. Of course, the Trevor Siemian interception started off so hot, threw the football really well, and the Logan Ryan interception. So every time there was a big play to be made, seemed like the Patriots made it, Denver couldn't do it.
1:22 to go. Simeon. That's Derby to the 42.
Derby's a good-looking tight end.
Again, played in 4 games for the Patriots at the start of this year, inactive for 3 others. Never caught a ball, limited action. Loading. Booker takes on Hightower, and that's some collision. But again, it's a first down at the 28, clock running. And they're way off of Thomas at the top. Going to keep him in the field of play. Simeon had to get rid of it. And it squirts out of his hand. As Ninkovich was there, Sheard was there. Simeon slow to get up.
Yeah, he's fought through some injuries this year, Simeon.
Got a flag now.
Ball didn't get past the line of scrimmage.
Intentional grounding, number 13, offense. The quarterback was out of the pocket. However, the football did not get back to the line of scrimmage. That'll be a loss of down. And inside of a minute, this will also be a 10-second runoff. Please reset the game clock to 25 seconds.
Oh, boy. Gets down below. Ninkovich gets him high. Trevor Siemian, like I said, left shoulder, foot sprain. Really showing a lot of toughness overcoming them. And we saw him down in New Orleans, right? When they won that game, he took a beating. One of the worst beatings probably a quarterback took in the league this year. Hung in there and made some plays to help him win that game.
And he went into that game with a sore shoulder. And they won that game, of course, in a most improbable fashion with the pick 2 return. That's Norwood. And he fumbles again. Oh, wow. Bookend fumbles right at the start of the game and now to end it. So New England goes to 12-2. And look where Denver falls back into that, drooping at 8-6. Miami right now has hold of the final wild card position. Tom Brady reverses fortunes here in the Mile High City, doesn't he?
Yeah, he sure did. Did it a different way. Wasn't all on his shoulders today. And Bill Belichick pretty excited about the way his defense played.
And a division title for the 8th straight year, and that's going to also secure the first round bye for the 7th consecutive year. It will be the 1 or the 2. And a former assistant here for the Broncos way back in 1978 for Joe Collier. Bill Belichick comes back here today, and his team, especially that defense, just dominated the Broncos the last 3 quarters. We had 1 touchdown in this game, and it was a 1-yard plunge.
Yeah, you got a New England team that's kind of peaking, believe it or not. You know, we know the offense, what they can do, but the defense continues to get better.
16-3 is the final. Patriots take it. 60 minutes. Then all new episodes, NCIS Los Angeles, Madam Secretary, and Elementary. For Bill, Tracy, and Jim Nance saying so long from Denver. Let's go to James Brown in New York.